All right, you ready? Cool. All right, everybody. Today I am joined with Jeff McBride, the director of the Northeast, and Phil Carey, who's had many titles over the years. But today he is the director of culture and development.
Way to go, Joe.
Love the title. I nailed that one for you.
You did.
So before we kick this off, you probably don't need a lot of introduction, but for our millions of followers out there and viewers, Jeff, why don't you please give us a little bit of recap of how you got into the flooring business and how you ended up at Salesmaster?
Okay. Well, my father was in the business 38 years at Roselle Heck, right down the street. I grew up in Annapolis, so I knew of flooring indirectly through samples in the garage, little chips of VCT and wall base. I had no idea what they were, but they made great dominoes.
There you go.
Graduated college, went into the staffing industry for a long time, and found myself in the flooring business with Salesmaster. Been there for 23 years, moved into a VP of sales role. And then June of last year, Spartan came along and changed things up a little bit for us for the better, I think. That's the short version. There's a lot of information in between there, but I find myself now director of the Northeast for Spartan with a lot of help from Phil Carey.
Well, there you go. And would you say that you and Phil have worked quite a lot together and you've got to know Phil pretty well?
Yes, I would say that's the case. Yeah,
I was
very
hoping,
thankful.
I was hoping you would say that, Jeff, because I figured what we would do today is we'll do a little fire round of how well he knows you with a little thing I call Phil Facts.
Oh,
yeah.
all right.
And hopefully,
All right.
I hope Meredith likes this. So we'll do some very simple things. So first of all, do you know what sport Phil plays on weeknights at around 9:30?
Sport Phil plays 9:30. I should know this.
I would think you guys spent all this time
Yeah,
together.
yeah. I'm going to say, I don't know, soccer?
Soccer. Phil, will you please tell him?
Well, in Jeff's defense,
Okay.
I did take this season off, but I do play ice hockey in a men's league.
I was going to say ice hockey
yeah,
too.
but I did take the season off.
Okay.
I'm coming back again in the fall.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome back.
So we'll give him a pass.
He's
Okay.
back.
All right.
This one's easy. It's a 50-50.
Okay.
Has Phil Carey ever been to a Celine Dion concert?
Yes.
Yep. Phil?
He did tell me about that.
And I'd go again tomorrow.
I like that. I like that. Is Phil a Swiftie?
He is.
I am.
100% he
I
is.
am.
Yes.
I am.
Okay.
Now, quick caveat.
Okay.
I started to go anti-Swiftie when she had her own channel on Sirius, and it was driving me nuts because it was being played too much in the car. But you cannot, you can't not listen to the songs.
Too much content
It
there.
is,
You could
it
switch
is.
it up based off
It is. So,
how you're feeling that.
Jeff
Jack.
got
I
that right.
you. Okay. So when Phil does something stupid at home, his wife has a term for it, TP, which stands for.
Ooh. TP.
And it's not toilet paper.
I don't know. Terrible problem.
Close. Phil?
Typical Phil.
Typical Phil.
Typical
Yeah.
Phil. I have heard that.
That's typical
Yeah.
Phil.
Oh, which
Shout
is
out.
generally
I should've
something that's
gotten that.
like,
Shout out to Brig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Phil was offered candy, gummies, or actually, I should probably preface what those are: gummy worms or Reese cups. Which one's he taking?
Reese cups.
more of a gummy guy.
I think you guys don't even know each other. You spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
In,
You know what? Our time's been spent on business more than gummy bears.
all right, well,
But
you have to travel around a little more. And one last final question. It's a yes or no one. This one's pretty easy. Has Phil Carey ever fell asleep in a running shower outside for more than 8 hours?
yes.
100%.
And I heard the story.
100% he did.
KJ's house.
Yep.
No, it was the
Oh,
beach
what?
house
Beach
of
house.
2011.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was
Yep.
at KJ's, but
Yep.
okay.
Not
There you
one of
go.
my finer moments, but not the first time it happened.
I've heard that story a couple times.
Small little segment called Phil Facts.
Yeah.
And like I said, Phil and I met in, I can tell you the date too. It was January 3rd of 2010. We started on the same day. I walk in, I introduce myself. He's well dressed. I was probably wearing fake leather shoes. And that's where our our relationship blossomed from there.
I think you found out they were fake leather when we went to a shoe shining
That's
place in
exactly-
New York, and you stood outside while I got my shoe shined because you were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed, but it is true. They were fake. I nicked them one time, and underneath of the black leather was like a brown color. So,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
but
It
when
looked
you,
like a spatula.
yeah. So be careful when you shop at some of these stores. A $50 shoe doesn't only go so far. But in all seriousness, like as you mentioned, it was June of 23. Spartan and Salesmaster came together, you know, and I've said this before, like I don't really like calling it an acquisition. I really feel like what this has become is a partnership. Spartan was up in New York, all up to the Northeast, as were you guys, but it was one of the territories that we had the most amount of issues in. And it's a whole other different animal. When you talk to a lot of people, like that is the hardest market to tackle. And when we really started looking at it, it was like, well, you know, our business model and your guys' business model were very different. And we always felt like when we brought these things two together, they would be better together. Now for you guys, you've had the task of taking on what I would say is probably one of the hardest things to do, which is bringing two sales forces together and meshing them together. So when you look at that, what were the, you know, how was that process, and was it difficult, and, you know, how do you think it's going today?
I think today it's going much smoother than it was at first. I
Yeah.
think the main difference is the business philosophies on path to market were a little bit different. They were set up different. Salesmaster, very traditional distribution. They did an amazing job with the customer base there. Still have some of the best reputation in all of the Northeast of servicing customers. Spartan, much heavier on the specification side, spending their time in front of the architectural design community, and not as much in the distribution side, is trying to marry that together, what we've replicated in the Mid-Atlantic. At first it's been a little bit challenging, but now we have the territories working more cohesively together, understanding that they need both sides of the business in order to grow, and it's the only real way for us, in my opinion, for us to grow the markets up there. So a little bit challenging at first, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
We sometimes take 2 steps back to take 1 step forward, but it's all part of the growing pains.
No, and you and the rest of the team have done a great job of meshing these things together. And, you know, we made some changes recently. If you guys want to kind of update us on that, just one more step closer to the two organizations becoming one.
We've taken our reps that spend and focus on the architects and designers as well as developer and end users, had them go and become full-blown Spartan Surfaces reps, carrying the Spartan Surfaces card, going to market there as Spartan Surfaces reps versus previously for the first 6 months as Salesmaster. Again, where Salesmaster's super strong at the flooring contractor level, keep that going the way that it is. I think that's important for them to continue that brand and that name for the remainder of the year, but at least for in the architectural firms where Spartan does have a national presence and a national name, I think it's good for the sales reps to be able to tag along with that and start going to market there. It takes. I love no one loves architects and designers more than me, but sometimes it takes a couple trips into a firm for them to remember what card you're carrying.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I think the big change for us and kind of our first challenge was trying to acclimate our team into Spartan and alleviating a lot of the anxiety that comes with it. So the first concern for us, I think even for Phil, was just to make sure that the people that were working at Salesmaster were as comfortable as they could be. I've never been through an acquisition. You two were years ago, and you remember that anxiety and the feeling of what's next. Trying to communicate as best we can. I mean, Phil and I know everything that there is to know, but trying to communicate that to the people on the team was difficult. And the change that you just mentioned, it was a total restructure. People having accounts taken away from them, people having accounts given to them, all for the good of servicing the customer and being more efficient. That was a big challenge for us, and probably the biggest change we've made personnel-wise. But ever since then, I think we've alleviated a lot of that anxiety, not all of it, and we've become more efficient from a customer service, our reps customer service-wise, and then also having the focus that we never had at Sales Master of specifications and separating the dealer and specs and then melding them together on the back end.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the most amazing thing is when change occurs, most people get very nervous. And at the end of the day, it's the communication part that's really going to help kind of clear the path to get everybody where we all as a team want to get to. But you said something there and almost teed this thing up, because one of the biggest concepts is obviously we talk about this better together. And the number one thing that needs to work is that this is better for our customers. And in our world, our customer is the end user, it's the flooring contractor, it's the designer and the architect. When you look at now what you guys have done is you brought everybody together, why would you take a couple steps back? Why would you say this entire process is going to result in a better deal for everybody in the Northeast?
Yeah, I think that to me, one of the things that we tried to implement early on is even if we had existing reps in the market that were Spartan Surfaces reps, and then we integrated them with Sales Master reps, I never wanted it to be, and Jeff went right along with it, is, hey, you're a Sales Master, you're Spartan. Everybody's together. Like, we're one group. Like, your card may read differently for now, but we're a team. And by getting everybody in their different paths and eliminating any sort of crossover and really kind of regionalizing the teams with the New York Metro team, an upstate New York team, and a New England team, getting people working as a unit, I think, is the foundation that we had to establish in order to grow for 25, 26, 27. And that has been our biggest focus for the whole year, is to make sure that we're working together, to kind of go along with your better together theme here, but working together, working in their own silos so that we're not crossing, but being able to communicate enough that, hey, I'm doing this here, can you help me out here in order for us to get to here, has been one of the main focuses of us, is to get everyone thinking that, hey, this is my teammate. This isn't somebody that has a different card and they're just doing their own thing and I'm not talking to them about it. You want them to be able to communicate enough that they're all going to market it the same, with the same thoughts about success. Very similar to when you and I started here, is that we were on kind of islands, but our path to market and thoughts to market were the same. So you wanted to communicate and make sure, hey, listen, he did that today. That actually makes pretty big sense. Like, maybe I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole theme of what we do. You see reps from other companies, they may wear the same uniform, but the internal conflict between them of chasing different jobs and trying to get credit for certain things really can kind of fracture a team. And we're trying to, our whole goal was to make sure that that's not what we're doing in our territories.
Yeah, to me, one of the most important things was a question got asked to Gary V and about how do you make flooring cool and fun? And he looked at us and he was like, you can't. And I remember thinking to myself, you might not be able to make it cool and fun, but you can make the process cool and fun. And I think that's always been Spartan's kind of mantra and motto behind all of this. And hopefully up there, bringing these two teams together, every level from the contractor to the A&D side, we can make it cool, we can make it fun, and we can service the living shit out of it. And then the other aspect to it is it should be better for everybody. And one of the, sayings with us is like, without our suppliers, both Sales Master and Spartan had nothing. So when you look at, again, this partnership, why would you look at it and say, man, this is going to be better for them too?
The vendors are gonna benefit. I was talking to Phil earlier about the synergy between the dealer rep and spec rep. The more we specify, the more opportunities we have for other products. Whether it's ropey wall base can turn into a myriad of products on a job. But if we can strive for that, and that's something that Phil and I concentrate on an everyday basis, I think the vendor, there's no other way for the vendors will work out fairly well.
Yeah. And I think the way you guys divide and conquered up there, the way you set the team up, allows for way more touches and relationship building day in and day out than we and you guys were able to do before. Yeah,
exactly. I think there's to marry the dealer relationship with the spec rep and being able to have those lines, and I mean it's like a team. Like, hey, you're on the offensive side of the ball, you're on the defensive side of the ball, but everybody's got to do their job right in order for you to win games, like the Eagles do more than the Commanders do.
And then the most important piece of all is when the last podcast we did for this, Kevin was here and Steve was here, and the importance of culture, and just the the dynamic of both guys caring so much about their team, and when coming together, it's something that just made this thing fit a little bit better. So when you look at our team, why do you think these two organizations being one is better together?
We're going to be able to bring you what you need quickly, efficiently, and the right product with the right information. And by doing that, we're able to take what the great products that Salesmaster has had and the great product lines that we've had and go to market in that sense, but still really having the rep brand themselves. That is really what Spartan is. And Salesmaster has done a great job of just being the people that you're going to call, that are going to service the hell out of you. That's what we've been able to really try to grow in the territories that, if you just try to outwork everyone and try to be able to be a solution, but also when you're going in there, you're not just throwing product down, and because everybody can do that. All our competition has that certain thing. So for us, it's just taking what we've done so well and being people you just like to see and hang out. And I always looked at it as, if I'm calling on somebody, it's the same. I'm going to treat it the same way as if I'm talking to you sitting at a bar. And if we can kind of keep that kind of Spartan culture going, I think that is where that's where we're going to keep growing. I think everybody is starting to adapt to that. In each market, we have existing Spartan salespeople as well as Salesmaster team members, and they're all talking on a continuous basis, which I think is fantastic.
Culture-wise, getting back to culture, I think when this was first announced to our team, pre-anxiety and oh no, what's next, was a lot of excitement. I mean, we've known Spartan for a long, long time. Most everybody at Salesmaster knew kind of the way you went to market. Culturally, they understand the ability to go to market with all 40 products is just a huge positive thing for these guys. So when I first heard about it, I was pumped. I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome for everybody here. And it's played out that way. So culturally, I think our team has really kind of melded in. Mm-hmm. I think now that we're sharing certain volume numbers and things of that nature, that they're starting to feel even more part of the team, and they see their name along with Danny Boyle and Jake Cleary and these guys. I think it's going to be interesting the next 6 months going into next year's sales meeting to see how these guys develop and really become part of the team.
No, that's awesome. I mean, Spartan always has a saying that we're not in the flooring business, we're in the relationship business.
Exactly.
And those relationships are external just as much as they are internal. Like, I have some great friends, Meredith, who's over there, my boy Phil and I, our families have vacation together. So you hope that as these two groups come together, that they develop the same great relationships, both internally and externally, as we all have too. So at the end of the day, I appreciate your guys' time. I don't know if anybody has any last parting words they want to throw out there. It sounds like Jeff needs to brush up on his Phil trivia.
I know.
Yes.
Maybe me and Jeff need to be talking a little bit more about nonsense versus business. Because Joe and I did a podcast earlier, and all we did was talk about nonsense.
They're always
the flooring's not that exciting, so that other stuff is way more exciting. So
right.
No,
Very
you're
cool.
right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Bosh.
That's a wrap.
All right. On three, better together. 1, 2, 3, better together.